Hey guys, get ready with me while I share an experience with with a recruiter, or would I say while I was job hunting. So a couple of months back, at the beginning of the year, company I used to work with um, wound down. So a lot of people were out of jobs. Everybody was looking for a job, and honestly, this year that was like the most devastating period of my life because I have not been out of a job for a very long time. I'd worked with this company for 9 years, 9 whole years, and counting. And so it was kind of like a new terrain for me trying to get a new job. Now, I think the only time I had really looked out was maybe year three while I was on that job, or year four while I was on that job. And when I wanted to leave, the company said, no, we're going to offer you something more. We're going to match the offer for you to stay. So I stayed. Anyway, back to the gist. So, of course, everybody was job hunting, looking for jobs here and there. And this job that's I just lost, the job is located so close to my house, so transportation was quite minimal. So I started looking for jobs, and most of the jobs I found were on the island, and I live on the mainland, and my previous job was so close to you know um my house. So island, mainland, and they're now looking for jobs. Most of the companies in the industry where I work were on the island. So most of the jobs, I got one of the jobs, but let me tell you something about that particular job that I got. Okay, so on the day of the interview, I woke up very early because I wasn't used to island worker now. So I wanted to make sure that I get there on time, traffic and all. So I got there. The interview was for 11 o'clock, and I got there around 9 o'clock. So of course, I was just out of a job. I was not ready to now turn on my AC in the car and just be waiting. So I turned on the AC and I was in the car. And where I was parked was close to the generator of that building. Oh my God, it was so uncomfortable, and I just had to, wait it out. So I couldn't wait for like 10:30 when I would go upstairs to the place where I was going to be interviewed and all. So I was in that smoky place for about 1 hour 30 minutes. And then when it was 10:30, I was so happy and elated. And then I went upstairs. And when I got upstairs, the when I got upstairs, the receptionist said I had to wait because the people who would interview me were not yet around. I was like, okay, no problem, I'll wait. And then I waited, guys. This interview was for 11 o'clock. I waited for about an additional hour. I waited for an hour. And then at 12 o'clock, I see the lady who is supposed to interview me, like the boss of the place, walking in. She walked in, no apologies, nothing. Like she couldn't, like I just greeted good morning, she greeted good morning, no apologies. I was like, okay, maybe, when I get into the interview room, she'd apologize for being late. Because imagine me waiting for so long, and then in Nigerian employers, they always feel like they're doing you a favor, they're doing you a favor now. Maybe you're the one looking for a job. They're doing you a favor. So she just did not even say anything. And I was like, wow, okay. When I entered the interview room, she also did not apologize. Rather, she was, talking to her staff, and she did not even acknowledge me on time. She was just talking to her staff about how, something was not properly placed. And, it was, I was like, hey, Nami, they find job. Nami, they find job. So she interviewed me, asked me a bunch of questions. Some of the questions, I wasn't really comfortable with them, because they were too much information from my previous place. But when I tried not to answer them, she said, what's the big deal? There's nothing hidden. Just say it. That interview was very uncomfortable, but I still tried to nail it as much as possible. I showed her a lot of things that were wrong on their platform, and things that needed to be corrected and all that. So after the interview, I went away. The interview lasted for about an hour. I went back home and I waited for their call. So a day later, the HR calls me and it's like, oh yeah, you have moved on to the next stage, we want to negotiate with you and all that. And then we had this meeting where there was a negotiation process. And during this negotiation, I mentioned the fact, like all the things I was getting where I was working previously, or where I still worked because I had not left the place. I had to do a lot to kind of wind down activities and all that. And so I mentioned to her the perks I was getting, and she said, okay, they were going to match that. I was like, okay, you can't match that because like matching that is not fair to me because I'm going to be spending more on transportation and all that. That, she should look at adding an additional amount to cover the transportation cost or my fueling cost. And then she said, oh, how soon can you start? I was like, okay, I'm trying to wind up a lot of activities here. And in fact, where I was, people were trying to buy off the company. And so we had to do some kind of presentation and all that for the new buyers and all that. And I explained that. So I would need like a month because my contract even says a month. And I thought that was fine, but apparently it wasn't. What I said, triggered her in some way. I don't know why, but I did not hear from them for a while. And then when I reached out, okay, what's the plan? Are you guys still, people told me not to reach out, but I was like, no, I have to get closure. I have to get clarity. When I reached out, okay, what's going on? I've not heard from you guys. And the HR lady goes, you don't say the kind of thing you said in an interview. I was like, what thing? She was like, why would you say that somebody's trying to buy off your company and you are working to? I was like, yes, because that's the truth. It doesn't mean that I'm going to stay. It doesn't mean that the new buyers are going to employ me, but I have to put things in place for these new buyers because I'm under a contract here. In as much as the company was winding up, I had not been let go yet. So, and I'm one of the top people in that organization, so I can't just leave things anyhow. And she was like, well, because of this thing and this thing that you said, we are still considering and all that and all that. Guys, I felt so bad. I was like, why? Like, what's the big deal in this? So guys, be the judge. What's the big deal in saying the truth? And I was really going to take that offer because I liked the role. It was, a product role, even though it was not really like, I think it's a bit junior to what I was doing, but I like products. I like developing products and all. And so I was so excited about the role. Only to get that kind of feedback, I was so down, and I started to question myself and wonder if it's good for somebody to be truthful or it's bad for you to be truthful and all that and all that. Anyways, my husband said, good riddance, don't worry, you get a better offer. And I was like, okay, should I reach out to them again? Should I try to explain myself? My husband said, you don't know your worth. You don't need to explain jack to anybody. Just move on from it. Lessons learned, move on from it. And later on, I started to think about it that, okay, is this the kind of organization where I want to work? A place where, the boss does not even apologize for being late. The boss does not even regard you. I'm not sure your talents, your skills will be appreciated in this kind of environment. And guys, trust me, a few months after, not even up to a month or two after, I got a better job with a better pay, peace of mind, with almost time promotion from my previous role, guys. So the moral of my story is that don't settle for less and always believe in yourself. See you in my next video. Bye.